Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This video is not sponsored in all by WorkPro, and it really isn't. But I will say, I'm going to give this WorkPro bag a test and see how it holds up at work. I have a Vito Pro Pack, the smaller one, MSMT something, I don't know. It's been great, but I want to see how that thing does. One thing I'll say about WorkPro is I do believe they're kind of like the Husky tools on Amazon. Same with their bags. They do have really nice bags. You might be interested, check them out. I would say, I have a bunch of Husky stuff that's lasted me years, and I've really liked it. And I've also really liked WorkPro. Anyways, I told you guys I would tell you. Sorry to start with that intro. That's something I wanted to throw in. Not big enough to make a whole video on, but I will do a update in, what do you guys think? 4 months? We'll see how that goes. So probably the biggest pain in the butt job issue I've ever dealt with at work, and this one was a doozy. It was Thanksgiving week holiday, and this was not one of my best moments at work, but it wasn't bad. It took a while to diagnose, because when you're doing apartment maintenance and say you have a water leak, you have to start at a point and kind of work your way through. So what had happened was, I'm trying to remember the exact sequence of events, but I'll put it out. I don't know when the days were, but it was over Thanksgiving. What happened was a third floor apartment had a toilet, and it was leaking at the base. So we went up there and flushed it and verified that it was leaking out the base. Tried to just tighten down the toilet bolts, the Johnny bolts. I'll be honest with you guys, like, sometimes that works, just tightening up the bolts. I have one apartment at work that they called, say, about 2 years ago. Their toilet was leaking at the base, and I went in there and tightened them down, and was not leaking anymore. And this year, recently, I got called back there. I was like, hey, it's worth a shot, because sometimes I'm so busy with other work orders and stuff, if I tighten up those bolts and it stops leaking, hey. And I told them too, I tightened it up. I said, hey, this might stop it, might not, but it's not leaking right now, and it wasn't when I left. And it's been about 5 months, I think. So go up into this apartment, third floor, tighten down the bolts, still leaking. So that means that the wax seal's bad. And I forget, the toilet was kind of old and junky anyway, so we just said, yeah, we'll replace the whole toilet, and we did. Took the old toilet out, put the new one on, tightened it up, and good to go. No leaks, no nothing, right? So 2 days go by, and the guy who was on call, I think this was like the day before Thanksgiving. He gets called out. The apartment below, there's water coming in their bathroom. I told him that there's an issue with the toilet upstairs, that we redid the wax ring, put a new toilet on, all that stuff. And he goes, maybe it's the the toilet leaking downstairs. He didn't do anything. He just put some towels. Or no, I'm sorry. It was leaking, out the base again. But when you do a toilet, I always flush it 10 times to make sure it's not leaking. And I told him that we redid everything, flushed it 10 times, wasn't leaking. And he said maybe it's a cracked flange or, something like that. So he put towels around the toilet, and I think it was 2 days before Thanksgiving. I forget. Anyway, so he goes out and he checks out the toilet. And he's like, maybe the flange cracked or something's goofy with it. So, and water was also running down into the lobby of the building. So I went out Thanksgiving Day, and I'm not gonna go ripping open walls and stuff. So I threw a bucket under where the water was dripping, a few buckets. It was just a slow drip, and got that taken care of. There is coming out lights, but water comes out where the opening is in the ceiling. So we get there the day after Thanksgiving. We rip open the ceiling in the apartment below the 3rd floor, in the bathroom above the toilet. I'm not seeing any leaks from the toilet. We're flushing it. It's all good, but there's water running everywhere. So, and the radiator, sorry, 3rd floor is leaking. Or so I think, because there's so much water up in that ceiling. The water's everywhere. But it had like a nice bead coming off of that where the pipes go into radiators. And now I think it's the radiator leaking. And in our buildings, it's on the 3rd floor, so we'd only have to drain down below that level to replace the pipe, and then bleed all the radiators. We don't have a purge or anything. You gotta bleed. If one goes out on the 1st floor, you gotta bleed the whole building. So now I'm thinking it's that problem, and then trying to get through the weekend, and so I was going to tape it and whatnot, but then I realized, I'm like, I went down and checked the boiler. We weren't losing any pressure, and so that means that we don't have a leak. I mean, that much water, that freaking pressure would have dropped significantly. And the water, wasn't hot. I mean, you open up a ceiling, you see all this water, you're guessing this, that, the toilet was leaking, all that crap. So then a guy comes in Saturday with me, so we finally go in Saturday. I'm sorry. Yeah, we went in Saturday, and the guy who's on call, said he would go in with me. So we go in, and we look at under the kitchen sink up on the 3rd floor, because now we're thinking it's a supply line going either a bathroom sink or kitchen sink. Open under the kitchen sink, it's shark bited on. No big deal, shark bites work. They've been around 20 years. But then it was like someone cemented the shark bites in, and it looked like a bad situation. So we tore that all out, redid all that. We put valves going up so like we could shut those valves off, and the people upstairs just didn't have any. They had water to their tub. That was it, their shower. So it went a few days without water. I think in the end it was about 4 days. So we go in there Saturday, and we put the cutoffs in the ceiling going from the 2nd floor to 3rd floor. So we cut those off and put the water back on for the whole building, and then work on our issue. So we redid all the stuff under the sink and got that all back together. Popped the valves on and whoosh, water, everywhere. Still coming out. So I don't think it was the shark bites, but we go. That was Saturday, and the guy was he was very cool. The tenant, he's very cool with us waiting until Monday to come back and see what's actually up. This is the part where I felt stupid on. So the kid I work with, he is new to the maintenance world, and he put the supply line back on the for the toilet, the new one, a new supply line. This is not his fault by any means either. So Monday, I'm working by myself, and the thing I do is I go in to the apartment and I cut a hole behind the cabinets to the right of the sink, and that's the supply line for the toilet. So I'm looking for another leak, maybe in that pipe, a pinhole. You get pinholes up in the ceilings every once in a while. It does happen. So I'm cut out the one cabinet, and actually I guess it was just one cabinet. So I cut out the back of it, and sure enough, the toilet supply line where it goes into the wall completely sheared off. And my guess is, see, that's the thing with these types of situations is the way it looked, the pipe looked, because it wasn't like completely torn off, but the people in the apartment below probably have had water issues in their bathroom for a long time. Why do I say this? Because 4 months or 5 months before this issue, we had water come down into the lobby exactly where it was when this happened. Now, we didn't know about this issue, so when that happened, there's a roof outside the lobby that I went up. I ran a snake down the drains, I cleared all the debris off the roof, and we went 4 months without another water issue in the lobby. I feel like it was a slow leak for a very long time, and the apartment below them didn't say anything until it got really, really bad. Mostly because, their apartment was a little messy, kind of like a hoarder situation. Needless to say, I got that all fixed up, we closed up the walls, put some glue on in the back of the cabinets. No leaking, but that I think all in all, I forget when Thanksgiving was. I don't know if it was Wednesday or Thursday. I want to say it was Thursday. I'm not sure. But all in all, it was like 5 days. The guy was really cool about it. He knew that we were doing the best we can. Also, you don't want to just go ripping out everything. You got to start with point A. But I was disappointed, that it took that long. And so, like what I was getting at is the newer kid, he's not very familiar, and I don't know, maybe he cranked down, and that, finally broke that open a little bit when we set the toilet in. But I think the way it all happened was there's definitely a pre-existing leak, but it wasn't that bad. End story, use pipe wrenches on pipes, but I don't think that would have made a difference in that scenario because, I think there's already a leak. Let me know what you guys think happened. if I explained that well. And as always, I appreciate you guys watching. And I'll catch you on the next one.